Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, President Buhari seeks intervention of the international community in Nigeria's northeast to halt the humanitarian crisis. Freed Isheri kidnapped victims recount ordeal in captivity, claim they were not their abductors' intended targets. Abuja Development Control demolishes Canopy Market in Wuse Zone 3. Traders and officials trade blame over city's master plan. And Syrian forces renew offensive against rebel-held areas in Aleppo. Warplanes strike targets in the northern city.
On Business News tonight, crude prices tumble by nearly 4% as oil producers prepare for another round of Alsford deal meeting in Algeria.
And in sports news, Spanish court reopens a fraud case against Brazilian striker Neymar over his transfer to Barcelona 3 years ago.
As the People's Democratic Party continues reconciliation efforts, factional chairman Ali Modu Sheriff appeals for restraint in potentially divisive comments.
We begin tonight with the plight of displaced people in the Lake Chad Basin, which the president has kept on the front burner in the ongoing UN General Assembly in New York. President Muhammadu Buhari has appealed to the international community to intervene in Nigeria's northeast and the Lake Chad Basin to prevent further suffering in the areas. The president was speaking at a high-level forum on the humanitarian crisis in the Lake Chad as part of activities on the sidelines of the UN gathering. Our presidential correspondent Chukwuma Onekusi reports.
The importance of Lake Chad Basin to Nigeria and other neighboring countries cannot be overemphasized. President Buhari decries what he calls a traumatized population due to climate change and terrorism, which in turn have affected development.
Nigeria thus reiterates its call for stronger international action and support for the implementation of the Lake Chad Development Resilience Action Plan. The recovery efforts require increased global attention and active engagement than it is presently receiving.
He is, however, grateful to the multinational Joint Task Force for supporting his administration to degrade Boko Haram to save innocent lives. President Buhari expressed delight that displaced persons have begun to return to their communities. And on the Chibok girls,
the government is working hard to secure the release of all Nigerians held by Boko Haram, including the Chibok girls. We are ready to ensure their swift rehabilitation, reintegration, and continuation of their studies once returned to their families.
The federal government appreciates the critical support the Northeast and Lake Chad Basin have been receiving from the United Nations and development partners, pledging Nigeria's preparedness to collaborate at all times. From the United Nations headquarters in New York, Chukwuma Onekusi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, Nigerians living in diaspora will soon be integrated into the country's socio-economic activities if they so desire. President Buhari gave this assurance when he met with several Nigerian professionals resident in the United States. Our correspondent Adeshowa Josh reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari at a meeting with Nigerian professionals in the United States. These men and women who have distinguished themselves in their various professions in America have come to discuss how best to channel their expertise and experiences for the development of their home country.
And with you as our leader.
Some of them even say they would love to move back home.
Make sure that we get them going. In this country, without them, should be able to do the same thing. So I want to be able to come to Nigeria, build an MRO facility over there.
President Buhari agrees distinguished Nigerians in the diaspora have a role to play in Nigeria's development, and he promised to provide a conducive environment for them to thrive.
I assure you that we are trying to be systematic in the government, to organize the government properly. And when we do that, we get the ministries and the states to function, and we need quality people to come along so that we can move fast.
The Senior Special Advisor to the President on Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, says the government will continue to engage Nigerian professionals in diaspora for the benefit of the country.
Today, we met Nigerians who are willing and ready to bring back foreign direct investment to Nigeria. Whatever stumbling blocks, we're both looking into such stumbling blocks, but the passion is there, the desire is there, and they are saying we want to come home.
For some of these professionals, there is no better time to return home.
Determination to have structure in place. I think it will be encouraging for some of us in the diaspora to come back and participate, because that's the structure we know here that we're used to.
There are many Nigerian professionals in the United States and around the world. It will be quite interesting to see how the government leverages on the expertise of these men and women. From New York, Adeshewa Josh, Channels Television News.
The federal government's response in the devastated areas of the northeast may soon change for the better, as cabinet ministers will now be in direct charge of the humanitarian effort, so says President Muhammadu Buhari. Before now, sectoral coordinations of the humanitarian situation were managed by director-level ministry officials, but the president has set up an interministerial task force whose sectors will be led by a minister. The Ministry of Budget and National Planning will now coordinate and mobilize the domestic, governmental and private sector resources necessary to effectively meet this challenge with the urgency it demands. The ministries include that of Health, Interior, Women Affairs, Agriculture and Water Resources. The National Security Advisor to the President and the Chief of Army Staff, National Emergency Management Agency and the Presidential Committee on Northeast Intervention would also be actively involved in the new elevated response model. Back home, Nigerian troops on Operation Lafia Dole and the multinational Joint Task Force presently harboring in Abadam village, Borno State, have repelled elements of Boko Haram attempting to attack their location. The assault was launched by the terrorist group at about 6:30 in the morning on Thursday and lasted about 2 hours. The troops killed 15 of the insurgents and many escaped with gunshot wounds. 2 soldiers died and 4 others were wounded in the attack. Some of the items recovered include weapons and ammunition. One of the victims of last Saturday's kidnapping in Isheri Estate area says that they were not the real target of the abductors. Speaking exclusively with Channels Television after their release, he explains that the abductors claimed to be Niger Delta freedom fighters. They told him they're using kidnapping to bring government's attention to their demands.
From that jogging point, they now took us to a particular river where they already have a speedboat somewhere, and they took us to a place, I don't know, maybe somewhere between Lagos and
Relieved, but still apprehensive. That's the mood around one of the 4 kidnapped victims in Isheri Estate, as he recounts his ordeal in the hands of their abductors.
When we arrived there, they took us in. We were all, they also put the mask on our face so we can't see. So in terms of experience, predominantly, I think there's no physical torture. Really, there was no physical torture. It's more of mental and psychological torture.
The victim claims they were treated well in captivity. He describes their abductors as people from the riverine communities in the Niger Delta region who are accusing the government of neglect. Only rapid development of their region can halt their criminal activities.
They say they are freedom fighters and they are in a struggle. Their struggle is to empower or emancipate the Niger Delta people. If the government does not listen to them, they are going to ultimately separate the Niger Delta from Nigeria. For now, what they want is for proper development of their place. They want to cause terror anywhere their pipe goes to. Their major objective in Lagos is to kidnap or to abduct senior politicians or big men, in quotes. We are not big men, so we are not like the wrong target at the wrong place at the wrong time.
During a visit to the homes of the released captives, the Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, and his team reaffirms that security will be reinforced in the community.
We are committed and resolute to our responsibilities.
It was a night that we went to him and he assured us, but he did not commit himself. But what he gave to us shows truly that they were closing in to the kidnappers.
As the men settle down with their families, one thing that is evident is that the waterways also need to be secured to prevent them from being launch pads for criminal elements.
Staying with security matters, agencies including the Nigerian Navy, Police and the Civil Defense Corps have been making arrests and uncovering illegal operations of men of the underworld in a bid to make Nigeria safe. Our next report shows us how these agencies are tackling head-on crimes that could threaten the nation's unity.
The nation's waterways must remain safe, and the Nigerian Navy ship Delta is said to be working hard against coastal insecurity, illegal bunkering, piracy, and pipeline vandalism.
As you can see this time. So, but if this one, the problem, it will be sinking.
Commander J.I.K. Zumve says NNS Delta is part of Operation Delta Safe, which nabbed a notorious militant wanted since 2011 for sea piracy, pipeline vandalism, and illegal bunkering. A commander in the Nigerian Navy says NNS Delta is part of Operation Delta Safe, which nabbed a notorious militant wanted since 2011 for sea piracy, pipeline vandalism, and illegal bunkering. In the North Central region, the Kwara State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps have sealed a factory producing fake engine oil in Ilorin, the state capital.
It's been going on for years, and they've been going unabated. The product is circulated in the market, and this is somebody who don't have no knowledge about production of oil, and it's into production. He's not even a graduate, he's doing it.
The Ogun State Police in the southwest similarly uncovered a counterfeit operation, but this time it's a shrine used by kidnappers and fraudsters in Kwankuku village, Yewa North local government area.
These are part of the fake various denominations of currencies which are recovered in this Koro house, whereby it is used as a bastion and a citadel of crime and criminality, and a receiving end for kidnapped victims, as well as fraudulent practices.
And in Katsina State, a formal complaint is received by the Commissioner of Police, Usman Abdullahi, from the wife of former President Ture Yar'Adua over the theft of about 90 million naira from their family house in Katsina.
The whole keys to that house is under his custody. In fact, some of the items, the rough estimate of just some part of it is about 91,400,000, which we received a complaint, formal complaint. That is, we invited him and we are investigating.
As the country strives to exit recession, improve the economy, increase revenue, and attract investment from overseas, the success of these agencies will only help to achieve this objective of making the country more secure.
In part two, after the break, Abuja Development Control demolishes canopy markets in Wuse Zone 3. Traders and officials trade blame over city's master plan. Please join us again.